Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Grow Healthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee, founder of the Savvy Groomer, where I teach you guys to go from being burnt out, broken to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on your terms. So let's go ahead and hop into today's topic. Take time off from your grooming business without feeling guilty. So here's some quick questions. When was the last time you took a day off? Was there a financial benefit to you taking time off? And how much is it going to cost you to take a vacation? So I'm not talking about how much money you need to go away, okay? Let's pretend you're going to do a staycation just for some easy math. So again, let's look at our overhead expenses, right? All of your business expenses, right? And don't include payroll for right now, okay? So we're going to say, for instance, that's $2,000 for nice, easy math. We're going to multiply that by 12 months. So it's about $24,000. Then we're going to take that $24,000 and divide that by 52 weeks. That's about $462 per week. So that is what it would cost you as a business owner, $462 a week. And again, this is just an example, whether you are open or you're closed. Now, let's dive into the salary. So let's assume your grooming salary for your business is $50,000 a year. We're going to take that $50,000. We're going to divide it by, again, that 52 weeks. That is about $962 a week. Now, let's look at that combined overhead and owner salary. So we're going to put it all together. That $462 a week in overhead expenses and that $962 a week in salary expenses. That is $1,424 a week in order to take time off. Now, this is really low overhead, but that's still a lot of money, right? So when you're taking time off, it can get really expensive because, as we've said in other videos, not only are you taking time off to, you're losing the money that you would normally make grooming, right? And you still have all those operating expenses and you can't not pay yourself, right? So we have to understand that there is an ROI to taking time off. Your body is an organic machine. Just like a clipper blade, we have to maintain ourselves monthly, right? The majority of us are just simply not doing this. Ironically, we expect clients to get their pets groomed every 4 weeks, but we don't take our own advice, right? We know that if you have a doodle and they're not groomed every 4 weeks, and some of you guys are going to say 8, and some of you guys are going to say 6, and do they brush them at home, blah, 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 right? But as just a generalized, very generalized term, let's say getting a doodle groomed every 4 weeks, we know they're going to get matted, right? We know. So we know if you don't brush your dog and you don't come in regularly, you're going to get a matted shave down. Well, look at how much you're actually investing in your own maintenance, right? So your equivalents to getting groomed and brushed and all that, and I know it sounds weird, but follow me on this analogy. Let me ask you, when was the last time you got a massage? When was the last time you went to the chiropractor? When did you do anything to help your body maintain in a healthy way, right? Now, you should ideally go to a massage therapist and a chiropractor at least once a month, right? And they're going to help you work out the kinks and get you aligned. And when you don't maintain your body, your organic machine starts to break down, okay? When you do not take care of your body, you're going to physically feel it. And that's going to also help. That's also going to affect your mental health as well. You have to take care of yourself. So remember, the same things we ask our clients to do, we have to do for ourselves, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So what happens, right? So let's start thinking about this. Your body is the only thing that you take through your entire life. If your car breaks down, you buy a new car, right? Your house has a problem and you don't want to live there anymore, you just buy a new house. You can't buy a new body, at least not right now. We'll find out in the future, right? So what is the ROI if you take 2 weeks off a year? And keep in mind, 5 years is the average that people are in our industry. And that's not a lot of time. You might be like, okay, well, why? Why is this happening? And that's because people are burnt out. They're physically exhausted. They've been working 5, 6, 7 days a week. They're grooming 8 to 10 dogs a day when they're really only a 6 dog a day person, right? And they're just pushing through it. So how much would it cost you to stop grooming at 5 years instead of 10 years? Let's say the grooming salary is $50,000 a year. We're going to take that $50,000. We're going to times it by that extra 5 years. That's $250,000. And we're not even going to get into the cost of how much cheaper it is to keep employees when you take good care of them. It is so expensive to hire people, train them, get them to come into our industry just to have them leave, right? Think about how many more groomers you would need to train to replace the people that are leaving because they're burnt out. So for your grooming career, every time you don't take 2 weeks off a year, how many years are you taking off your grooming career? Okay. The ROI of those healthy groomers, you see grooming 20, 30 years, and that's because they took regular time off. There are people like my grandfather who are just brick houses. They are just genetically blessed and they can keep working through things even if they're in pain. But that's not the majority of us. The majority of us don't want to wake up in pain every day. We don't want to be physically debilitated in our 40s and 50s, or even in our 70s or 80s. Let's be fair here. We want to live long, healthy lives. Okay. And a lot of people are learning ergonomics at seminars, but we're not always practicing them. And that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. So I will say, as a word of advice, those seminars are so underrated. Learning how to use scissors properly, learning how to use your body properly. If you can not take time off, you're like, I can't take any time off, at least watch those online seminars on how to hold shears, how to take care of your body, right? So that you can groom more, right? And remember, if you don't take time off, eventually you're going to have to take time off from your grooming career. So let me give you 2 great examples from my own personal life. So one of them was I had a Yorkie who bit my left hand. Now, if you guys are cat groomers, we use our left, our less dominant hand often, whether we're moving things, etc. But also, just as far as regular dog grooming, I have to use my left hand to stretch skin, to hold things, right? Like I use both of my hands. I need them both, right? So I actually have permanent nerve damage because I let it get infected. I had a Yorkie who had a really, their teeth were rotting out of their skull. And this dog bit me right in the middle of my palm. And I didn't do the right care. I put it off because I was so busy. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. Don't worry about it, right? There are so many things that I didn't take time off for. And it's a lesson learned, right? And it's going to lessen how long I'm going to be able to do certain things with this hand, right? And again, like instead of being like, okay, I'm badly injured, this is infected, I still worked through it. That's not healthy. It's not normal. It's not what we should be teaching people to do. And I know how frustrating that is, right? Because it's a balance between people actually going to work and doing what they're supposed to do balancing that with, not saying to someone who's sick or injured that they have to go to work anyway. Another great example is my personal shoulder muscles. And you're like, these are amazing muscles. And I wore this shirt intentionally to show you guys. So the shoulder muscles that I had were completely messed up. I couldn't actually lift my hands above my head. That's how bad this muscle here was so overdrawn. So now you can see, and I'm wearing a bra strap, that it just goes straight down, right? And what happened was it was actually raised halfway up my neck, and then it would drop off about here. So this whole section of my shoulder was actually raised up because it was so inflamed. Okay. And a lot of that was that I was doing poor body mechanics. And again, I was just doing the best that I could with what I knew what to do. And I wasn't exercising. I wasn't stretching. I didn't make my health a priority. So I had to get a personal trainer to help strengthen the right muscles and fix those problems. And I had to get a massage once a week for about 6 months. So I know it sounds silly, but you do need to take time off when you're sick. You do need to take time off when you're emotionally burnt out. And that includes if a loved one passes, if your dog dies, take the fucking day off. Okay. If your dad dies, take the day off. If your mother dies, take the day off. Grieve, relax. It'll be here. All of this will be here tomorrow. Grooming is not the reason that we miss a funeral. Okay, guys? And the same thing, if you have to go to the hospital, I have a love-hate with things like that. I love groomers. We have such amazing, beautiful souls. But what frustrates me is things like my sister, okay? She was in labor and she finished her whole day's worth of dogs. And then she drove the mobile grooming van to the hospital. And I said to her, I said, this is not good for you. And for her, she ended up having to have an emergency C-section because her body was trying to understand the signals, right? Her body was trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing here? I'm physically laboring and pushing through being in labor and grooming a dog, right? We almost see it as a badge of honor. And I would like to change that. As much as I honor how hardworking we are, I don't want it to be the reason that we're all getting beat up. Okay. So where can I start? I want you guys to consider deciding what is a good ROI. What is something you can do to get some investment back? Whether that is taking time off, right? Whether that is relaxing. And we talked about this in a previous video, guys. It's all about figuring out what it is that you need to do. And if you want to know the real trick on how to take time off from your grooming business without feeling guilty, it's knowing that you have to take care of you. No one is going to take care of you for you. I know it sucks. I would love for someone to take care of me, but they're not going to. It's up to me to put me first. Okay. And if you're worried about your clients, remember, your clients want to have you groom their pets as long as you can. That is more important to them than having you take a day off. I would rather you push my groom out a week versus having to find a whole new groomer. Isn't that the truth? And we need to set good examples for future groomers, because if you can't take a day off, how are we going to encourage the next generation of groomers to come into the fold? We're always talking about why there's such a groomer shortage. But if we listen to, I can't take a day off, who wants that job? We have to start being our own advocates, guys. And I believe in you all that we can do this together as a community. So how do I take time off from my grooming business without feeling guilty? Knowing that you're worth it, knowing that you're doing the best thing possible. Financially, yes, of course, you have to figure that out. Scheduling, of course, you've got to figure that out. But this guilty feeling that you are unworthy has to stop as an industry. We deserve to be happy and comfortable. Thanks for joining me this episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. Be sure to visit me at savvygroomer.com to see my current opportunities to work with me in growing your pet grooming business, plus more free resources for you to learn. I'll see you guys in my free Facebook community, Savvy Pet Professionals. As always, guys, happy grooming.